Hi guys, welcome. We are about to start playing the weekly Crazyhouse arena. The last few weeks I tried to stream regularly on Tuesdays and try to catch this tournament the weekly or the monthly, which are usually on Tuesday. So far we've got variants only joining Autokia and Omnibus 2100 plus, but already 23 players in the mix, and I expect a lot more will join. Variants only will be rating wise will be my first opponent, as well as a very good contender for this
10,
tournament if he
9, 8,
hangs
7,
on
6,
for the
5,
entire 3 hours,
4, 3,
because
2,
it will be
1,
3 hours, as you can see
0.
in the top corner here, of 5 plus 0. So we have variants only up first. And let's start with Berserk. And I expect him to be well prepared in most of the usual lines, since he is playing in the 1-0 CWC, where he is taking on some of the best of the world, actually. And he himself has grown to be a formidable player as well. It's not nothing, of course, reaching the candidate stage of the 1-0 Crazyhouse World Championship. Alright, let's go knight b5, rest this queen, and maybe go knight at d5 afterwards, trying to get in on c7. Alright, if knight b5 now, we'll probably see a knight on a6 or e6. I don't think that's very helpful for me, so just d4 and try to develop. He has two knights in hands to work with, but I'm a little bit better developed here. Could try, I'm thinking about bishop c4, knight at e5 here. Trying to arrest f7. Let's go knight at e5 first, see how he reacts. Okay, e6. Now bishop c4 would not make that much sense. He wants to go bishop b4 maybe. Let's go bishop e3, and if bishop e4, then bishop e3. Okay. Knight at h4, trying to threaten here. Could have also castled and just accepted the sacrifice, but with another knight in hand, and he could easily threaten another knight. I didn't like that idea. And now I'll go for trading the bishop, and maybe bishop at g5, because the bishop was harassing this pawn since the pin on c3. Okay, and now bishop at g5. Well, it doesn't threaten this knight because it's all covered, but it asks the queen what do you want to do, and f6 is probably not a move you want to play. Alright, let's take there. But maybe go h3 afterwards. Must watch out for this one though. And I gotta watch my time as well. So let's go knight c4 and rook f1 and try to develop this bishop. And then maybe I'll be safe. But I missed this double attack by him, to be honest. Kind of an oversight. This is very strong. Alright, let's go bishop e3, maybe run to d2. Knight at f3, I think I should take that one. Already very tough this. He's threatening mate in several ways actually. Let's go knight here. I think he should be able to take this one. Pawn on g2 for example, looking very strong. This move as well. Queen here, yes. Yeah, this is just curtains. Well played. I underestimated the rook on the h file there. It was too strong, and then I made a silly blunder dropping h2. But as I was saying, variance only getting very strong last year, actually, in Crazyhouse. I used to be like 2100 or something like that, but I think in the last few months last year he decided to take the game a bit more seriously, and he has grown to be a very good player. So happy to see him in the mix. Alright, Moriaki 8000 next. Let's try to catch up. Alright, he's going for an early d5 here. And if knight f6 or bishop b4, I can't go e4, so I have to go to my g3 system. I'll just take this one. He could try to go knight f6, knight e4. And then I have to go bishop d2 at some moment. He could also try to sack on f2 here, for example, by taking bishop bishop b4 takes c3 and then knight takes f2, and then put the knight back on e4. But I am safe on f1 then, because usually you want to follow that up with a pawn on h3. But now with the pawn on e6, the bishop is not covering h3, so a knight sack here won't do anything. Or it's not that good actually. You could also try to pressurize this bishop with knight on c4, but then bishop at b5 easily swaps up the defender and then castling is fine. So black should just leave this knight here on e4 and try to develop like something like this. And then I'll play castles, the usual stuff. There is one tricky move here, knight takes f2 and then pawn at e3 and knight at g4. But then I'll just after pawn at e3 move back and give the bishop. Okay. A lot of explanation there about moves that don't happen, but I'd like to give some explanation about my train of thought there. Okay, he's going for h6. He doesn't want to allow a bishop on g5 or h4. He maybe wants to respond with g5. So now I'll play rook b1, not allowing any future piece on b2, as well as leaving the bishop on c8. Okay, now knight at c4 is not met by bishop at b5. But I'll just go bishop back at e1, gives cover here, as well as still covering this pawn. And this knight is a bit awkwardly placed. It could try to get a pawn on e3 maybe. But for now he has no pawns in hand. And after this I could try bishop at b5 anyway. So he has a bit of trouble finishing his development. And this bishop in particular. So now bishop at d3. With the idea of taking here. a6 was probably preventing bishop at b5. And for example, if b5 were a move like that, I'll take a knight at e5. And then I'll try to get in on these squares. Because he played h6, so I think these squares are a bit weak now. Could also try to go for knight at h5, harassing this pawn. But let's go with the original thought, knight at e5. Because if he trades, for example, then also the c6 square is weak. And he probably would like to cover this knight with a knight, but that's not possible. So he has to go bishop d7, yes. And now I'll bring the knight from f3. So I'll have the option of f3, maybe taking here if it suits me well. Because already, if I can make a move in this position, then knight takes f7 is very strong. It takes knight on e5 back, and then he has to run, and then maybe I can take this one and put another knight on the board. Okay, let's go with that. I think the best move here is king g8. Because it seems like he's safe on h7. I only need a pawn then though. But actually I can't take one without removing the knight from the g6 square. But at least I have a very strong bind here at this position. Let's see, how do we take a pawn? Let's just go rook b4 and threaten this. Okay, he goes rook f8, so that's logical because now he can move to h8. Alright, I want to go f3, and if knight at e3 I'll sacrifice the queen. Keeping pressure on the clock as well, so he has to find some defensive moves very quickly. The idea of this is that I can take a knight and then take here and put a knight back on the board. Let's play h4. Okay, let's repeat this. And now e4. Try to activate the pieces. And he's down on time. But he defended that very well. And my next plan was to go h5 maybe. Try to use this weak light squares. But tenacious defense there by my opponent. Alright, let's see, we have Antic and Rapid Variance joining as well. Firehawk, who I believe won 1 or 2 weeks ago. So the pool is getting stronger. Variance only off to a good start. Alright. Lucio G or something like that. Don't know. Probably pronouncing it incorrect. Okay, he's going for d3, which gives me the possibility to go d4 maybe. But now he's already allowing this whole on g2. I decided not to put a pawn here because I don't have any good follow-up. And just the pawn on g4 will keep this bind on this square, and as well as h3. So I'm just waiting for the material and maybe try to open up the h file. And there we go. Alright, this should end badly. Let's see. Knight e4, yes, let's go knight e4. He can't take because queen h4 is made in a few moves, I think. If you ran to king to f4, then take here probably. Looked very strong. I didn't see him mate all the way, but I felt like that should be strong enough to beat him there. Okay, happy to beat back after the first loss against variants only. I hope you're all having a good day, wherever you are. The work week just started for me today, because yesterday it was a national free day in the Netherlands. So I just got some work done, and now time to play some Crazyhouse. Alright, Carlson 22. I forgot I pre-moved e5 there, but alright, that's fine. Let's call it a gambit then. Maybe with a quick knight e4. Okay, bishop e4, knight e4. But he has the extra pawn, of course. But it's already looking very tricky with the bishop stuck on f1. As I've said before in previous streams, you would in Crazyhouse you really want to develop this bishop. Unless you have some mad defensive skills or some you know what you're doing, because otherwise it will cost you dearly, like in this game. Because with sacrifice on f2 are not that powerful if the king can move to f8. As a rule of thumb, of course it's always about the specific position, but I think that's a good general rule to keep in mind, that if f1 is free for the king, then you can allow or defend against the bishop f2 sacrifice, which if you are a starting player or from the Baka scene, you probably will see it a lot of times. Players just going e4, e5, bishop c5 and take on f2. But if you have developed your bishop, you should be fine. Alright, an early queen h5. Let's see what's this about. He wants to go bishop c4 next, probably. Let's just go knight c6 and g6. I don't remember if queen e7 or knight f6. Let's go knight f6. He go queen b3 and then I go queen e7. Or I go knight a5. Can't recall. Let's go queen e7 and go knight a5 afterwards. It's a good thing I didn't berserk against this guy. He is already also very strong, but I have some things to figure out in this opening. I believe it's something Fumi Talks likes to play a lot, and probably is doing very well with it, but as this goes with openings, they get copied, of course. Okay, knight a5 I think is the way to go. If bishop takes f7, I'll just sidestep and I'll be safe here. Alright, he sacrifices the queen. Whoa. Alright, okay. Knight takes b3, bishop takes. Then he wants to go knight at h7, surely. Wow, this is crazy stuff, guys. Seeing this for the first time. And he's just spamming out those moves. Alright, let's take and go d4, d5. Try to open up the position a bit. And I was banking on knight at f4 to work. Let's see. Yes, if knight at f7 I can just take. Because I'm threatening queen at e2 mate. And next I'll try to, if possible, I'll take the bishop. And then f7 is sort of, the problem on f7 is sort of fixed. But the position is still not winning for me in any case. Maybe I can even go bishop h3 here. Bishop h3 seems very strong. Let's go for bishop h3. The thing is that if knight at f7 I can still take. Alright, now maybe I'll take and go knight h3. And then pawn at e2. Looks dangerous for him. And if knight f7 I can sidestep. Take here. Shouldn't work, I think. Yeah, let's go with that. Keep the mate threat alive. And after this, oh, you already resigned. Okay. Maybe there was a way to defend this, but okay. Happy to take this this game, because I had no clue after 6 move what's going on there. Thanks for the follow, Mark Brock. And if you're learning the game, I think it's one of the most popular time controls right now is 3+2 for the bit slower games. And I'd recommend to play something like that, or maybe 5+0 or 5+3. Because it's not only about the opening tricks, but you will also need to start mating to put it like that. You just need to recognize the mating patterns, and if you are on a +0 increment, you will have a very hard time, I think, checkmating, because with time pressure it will be hard. And that of course also goes for when you are playing with +2 or +5 increment or something like that, but it at least will be a bit easier. But I think the slower the better. But on the other hand, you also want to get a good number of games in. So therefore, I would say 3+2 or 5+5, somewhere in that range. And it's also the time control which are popular on Lichess at least. So I'd say start there. Myself, I can't remember actually what I played. Probably some 1+0 and 3+0 a lot, but then that I didn't learn. I didn't learn the game through that. Actually, I came from playing Backhouse. So it's a bit that's a bit hard to say, but I think that's it. That is the best way to go. All right, back to this game. Let's take this knight, and he wants to take me So he wants me to take on e4, so he can go bishop at g6 probably. So let's go knight takes g5 with this threat of pawn at f7, as well as knight takes g7 or knight at f6. Now my queen is sort of safe. I hope that answered your question, Mark. Alright, let's see if he sacrifices the queen. If not, I'll take the rook and have an attack again on the queen. And if he sacks, he then has a move on me, because I don't have checkmate just yet. But it's looking tough around his king. Pawn at e7, f7 maybe. Alright, good luck with that, Mark. Always good to see new players joining the Crazyhouse scene. Let's see if this mates. Pawn here. Not entirely convinced. Let's go bishop b5. I thought about this, that this would mate maybe. But then I went bishop b5 to attack this one, and there was also an hidden threat on the pin on c6, allowed queen at e7 mate, and he resigned before I could show that to you. But actually queen at e7 now is mate because there's pin. And I think another good tip, Mark, is to sometimes try to analyze some games, a bit of the slower games. Try to see where you went wrong. And don't overanalyze or play stockfish openings. That would be a bit too far, I think, because you need to understand what you're doing and not follow computer moves. But I think sometimes it's good to have a quick blunder check. Did I miss a mate? And then you'll learn a new mating pattern or something like that. Alright, let's see. Antic. Knight at h4 may come. So let's go bishop at a4. A bit of a poking move. If c6, then I can use this square maybe. Okay, so this is I think this is a good move, or at least principle, not giving me c6 or putting a piece to block. Trying to preserve these knights to put here, but bishop a3 seems a good follow-up. He probably has to give the queen. Yeah, he has to give the queen now. Hi David, good to see you again. And this rook takes is a bit problematic, I think, because he has to block with the queen now. Probably takes is good. Let's see if he has a mate. I think by typing in the chat HUUH. I'm a bit new to the subscriber thing. I was just checking if he had a mate, but I don't think he has one. This knight takes f2, does nothing, and pawn at h2 I can just take. let me see. Alright, he's playing rook f8 because if I take, then he has an extra move. I think like this, but I don't know for sure. So I have to try to not delay, not allow any delay. So maybe d8 is possible. Take. But then he can just put a piece back. So let's go queen at e8, threaten mate in 1. And now I think I can take this one because now the bishop can retreat with check, and then he has to take the queen, and then there is mate. So yeah, he resigns. You're trying to use your new emote, and you get blocked by this nightbot. Yeah, there you go. Good job. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Yosonic. I think I'm playing you right now. Alright, he's sacrificing the queen. And that seems like a good decision. Because this bishop is covering f2, and usually this is like... oh, he now decides to get away from that. And for Mark, for example, a common tactic now, if you have two knights, knight at h3, king here, and queen at g1, and take f2, that's a way to lose the game. Okay, this is actually a good move. If I take, then knight at g5 seems tough to deal with. But maybe I'll be able to just run back and go here. Could also go, yeah, let's just go to f8. If knight e6, I'll sidestep, and if he takes the queen, then I have this knight at h3 trick. So he's probably figuring that out now. He could also try pawn at f7, for example, with some rook at h8 idea. And then I'd have to create a mating threat, because that's a very strong threat actually. And pawn at f7 also recreates knight e6, because then I can't move to g8. So then I'd have to move to e7. So Yosonic now trying to figure out the move, I think. And if I'll get time, I'll if he tries to defend, maybe I'll just move back the bishop or put a bishop here. Try to cover these squares, or a bishop here, because I'm exposed on the light squares here. Okay, rook at f5. I think multi-purpose move. That's one threat, as well as covering f3. Maybe I can go bishop at g6. Don't actually know about that. Then maybe knight e6 is fine. Could also go queen at e2 and just allow this. Yeah, I'll go queen at e2. Knight takes h7. I'll just sidestep. I haven't decided which way yet. Probably king e7 is the safest. Because if knight takes h7, king e7, rook e5, I'll just block. And the threat, of course, is to take here, pawn at e2, rook at f1, and bishop at e1. Checkmating. And by placing the rook on a5, he doesn't have a rook or any other piece for that matter to cover this rook. So he really needs a piece to hold here. So the only move to cover this rook seems to take f6. But for example, if rook takes f6 and pawn here, then knight at g3, I could still take f1 and checkmate. Knight takes, knight at e2 and rook at g1, and if king takes, then bishop at e2 surely will lead to checkmate. Alright, so I overtook variance only, who's probably, I think, took a small break maybe, if I watched correctly there. And we also have Sharkmeister coming at the top 3. Good old Sharkmeister. I think when I started playing Crazyhouse and Bughouse on the freechess.org, he already had so many games under his belt. So he's been around for ages. Okay. This a4 rook a3 stuff. Let's take him up on the challenge. The thing is that White is saying that a piece is better than a rook, actually, something like that. Let's just put the rook on the defensive square. And castle. And see how to proceed from here. Kind of want to go knight takes f2. Knight g4 maybe. Let's see, knight e4, knight takes f2. And if knight takes e7, I'll just take, and if he takes here, I'll take the queen. Then I should be fine, I think. Alright, let's try it. Try to play an aggressive game against him. Okay. He's saying, okay, let's go. I'll take you up. Maybe he'll take back. Also possible. Because I really don't want to play pawn at e3 just yet, because then the bishop, whoa, sorry about that. Then the bishop will open up, and then a knight on h6 or knight takes e7 will be very annoying. Alright, let's go queen e8, make him trade. And then a knight on one of these squares will be good. Could even go c5 here to preserve my pieces. Okay, this has not gone the way I would like it to go. But we have a very original position at least. And that's good. Right, let's make it even more original by f5 and using the rook. But it's already shown that it's not so easy to use this rook actually. Let's go bishop b7, maybe trade this. And let's see if he takes. Is that mate? I don't think so. Okay, he agrees. Okay, gotta move a bit quicker. Bishop at d5, I'll just block. With a bishop on e6 probably. Alright, let's go f4. Because I need to create some counter chances with my clock down like this. Don't know if he has any good checks here. I think the king is sort of safe. That's nasty, opening up the position. As well as denying my counterplay on f2. So he should be able to take this one home. Okay, that's nice. Gotta move fast. Alright, he's got me. Good job. Okay, let's try to pick up the pace again. I think variance only is not yet. I've not managed to win against him. So we'll keep on trying. Okay, knight c3. He covers. Then I think it's time to go for g7. Ooh, this should be very bad. Allowing this. Can sacrifice here and then take the rook, and he has nothing against, or at least nothing good against pawn at g7 again and rook at h8. Yes, there we go. Okay, quick win to bounce back after that loss. And even though I've lost twice, I've managed to get more games in than variance only, so it's still very exciting here at the top. We've managed to get a bit of a gap with the rest of the field. But still 2 hours and 15 minutes to go. But let's check if I've managed. No, 004. And I've actually played an OTB Crazyhouse game once against variance only. Because you may know that he's also from the Netherlands actually. His main account used to be Meneer Mantje. And due to some... It was between rounds in a tournament, so we didn't manage to finish that, but it was very nice to play some OTB Crazyhouse against such a strong player. Alright, have to decide between d5 and b2 here. Which one to take? Queen at b5 and 3 bishop. After bishop f5. In the previous game, you mean? Could be. I can't recall now, but could be that I missed that one. That would be sad. In this game, if queen b4, then he can go bishop d2. Actually, if you mean that one. But if it's in the variance only game, I should check back. Yeah, queen b4, but okay, this sort of leads to the same thing maybe. Then if he had the bishop on d2, he can go bishop c3, cover the rook. But alright, you may be right. It probably is better. Okay, let's harass this knight. Maybe rook at b2 is an idea here. Gotta watch out for his attack though. So I'll just try to counter. And I want a knight on d4. And if he takes, I'll take back and go bishop at h5. That's the main idea. But now I'll try to set up some sort of mate on h1. Okay, he's defending for now. So let's switch our attention to f2. Okay, let's take once. And now take the queen. And maybe it was okay to take the queen anyway, but now I'll also have d7 available. And now rook at h1 is a mating threat. Rook at h1 takes, and then the queen on g2. Okay, let's go rook at h1. And just take the rook. Or go queen at d2 to be fancy. Yeah, that's actually a clean way to finish. If he takes, queen takes e1. If he blocks, queen takes e1. Okay, I'll check. Maybe I'll be able to play the same opening again, Dutchy 2000s, and then I'll see. I'll see. I won't miss queen before then. Right, Android timer again. Let's keep the berserk going. Try to keep pressuring variance only. Okay, knight d4 would have run into c3, winning a piece. So that's a common mistake from if you come from Backhouse. Then c3 would lead to asking your partner for a piece on c2 and trouble for white, but with the knight on d4 and c3, it sometimes also can be very good. Okay, let's castle. Thinking about bishop takes f2 and knight g4. Okay, he's not allowing it. Because I want to go queen takes g5 maybe. But now I'll just go d6, and if h5 then knight f4. And with this bishop cut off by his own pawn, for the moment I should be fine with the light squares here. And if h6 I can just take even. And on his part, bishop takes f2 is something he has to be careful about, for, because for example, bishop takes, bishop at e3, king here, pawn at f2, then already knight at g3 is a huge threat. Okay, so he blocks with the knight, seems sensible. Let's put more pressure here. Maybe go bishop g4 next. Yeah, let's go bishop g4. He'll try to castle maybe. Then I can scoop up this pawn if I want to. Can also take here and then take a rook. And that seems good as well, because then rook at a1 is some... No, well, not right now. It's good, but it might be annoying at some stage in the game. Okay, let's take this pawn, as well as opening up the defense of this bishop with the rook being removed from the h-file. Okay, he goes king b1. Looks a bit slow, but maybe it's sensible. Now I'll try to remove these pieces from this diagonal, as well as maybe opening up knight at a3. Okay, now this knight is trapped. Okay, let's try to harass this queen. And if knight takes c6, I'll leave the queen hanging, and there's maybe some knight at c3 stuff. Alright, he takes with the bishop. Then I'll have this fork. And the difference between his king and my king is that my king is much safer and is defended by pieces that are not attacked at the moment. And his two main defenders are both attacked now. So he has to choose to counter-attack or to save one of these pieces, but then I'll have one less defender to worry about. And even a counter-attack is probably too slow with knight at f5. Knight f5, I can just take the queen. Alright, let's take the knight. He takes the rook, that's fine. Now I have knight at c3. And if he takes, then knight at a3. Wins the queen. Yeah, let's just take the queen. That's the easy way to go. Not allow any nonsense. Could have also gone take c3, but that's also possible next move. He has to deal with queen at b1 mating threat. And now pawn at b2 is kind of unstoppable, because this bishop is also supporting b2. Okay, so he doesn't want to see the mate and decides to resign. Okay, after almost an hour of play, Variance only is up 3 points. Looking good for him so far, but I'll try to keep on winning, and if I win the game between him, then I should overtake him. But for now, he's on a very good streak. Alright, Hazar up next. Going for knight c6 and d5. Okay, I'll go for g3, h3, bishop g2. Sort of the usual stuff. And this bishop on g4 I usually find okay, because if it allows h3, and if he takes, then I'll have this nice looking center, or king side I mean. And if the bishop moves back, then I'll have h3, sort of a free move. And this is also something I've encountered sometimes. And now I have the same king side, except for the pawn on h3. I have this pawn in hand, which is also useful. Pawn on g could be put on g5 to harass some pieces, and this f pawn is doing a nice job of guarding this square. Okay, he wants to go at d4, so let's cover that with the bishop. And the bishop is also eyeing these squares. Okay, so he decides to remove the bishop, maybe goes knight d7 to attack this pawn. And now I'll have the option of covering the pawn or harassing this knight. And I think I'll harass this knight because it has no useful squares actually. So we'll probably see knight takes g3. For example, if knight at h6, then bishop takes h6 is very strong. So he decides to sacrifice the piece for 2 pawns, which is a reasonable trade, I guess. And now we could try some bishop here, or bishop c5, exploit the fact that my f-pawn is gone, since it took on g3, and then I can't really block that, so I have to move the king. Okay, but he decides to cover the rook. So let's develop the bishop then. And if knight g6, then maybe I'll even put the bishop back on e3. Or just let it be like this and go rook e1. Also possible. But this knight sacrifice on g3 seems to be interesting, and it's giving black reasonable options. He's fortifying his position. Now I maybe want to go knight takes d5, and if he takes knight here, yeah, let's go with that, because then I have pressure on g7, and he has a knight in hand, so maybe he can defend with knight e6. But it seems like I have to try something here. Maybe I can follow up with pawn at h6, for example. His king has an okay escape route though. Probably not a wise move to play here is bishop. Is the bishop here? Yeah, so he goes with knight e6, that's fine. Okay, let's go king h2. Because I want to take this pawn, but then bishop c5 would have been a discovered check. So king h2, this g3 square is well fortified by these pieces, so king should be fine here. And the knight can of course take here, but then g7 is back on. And this knight is also covering this square, so I still should be fine here. Okay, this is original stuff. So Sacrificing the queen could be an option. I think I'll just sack the queen. Because he only has a queen in hand to work with, and he can take a pawn and take maybe another pawn. But these pieces are all around the king, so I should be safe, and can even put a bishop back on g3 for more precautionary measures. Okay, now he wants the castle, I guess. So let's prevent that from happening. I don't want the rooks to be connected and the king safe on c8. And then maybe I'll play it safe with the bishop back on g3. Can also take here, but then pawn takes. So yeah, let's just be safe, practical, and keep the cover on my king. And now try to remove some pieces. Bring the knight back. Take with the rook and put a bishop on f6. Can take here. And then I should be totally fine. Okay, now knight at c5 should be very strong at some stage. If king here, knight at c5. Maybe I even have made, probably have made a4, bishop d6. And pawn at b3. Could also have taken the queen, but I spotted the mate already. Alright, variants only, going on a good streak and playing fast, so getting a bit away from me. But I guess that's what happens if you berserk all games and you win all games. So let's see who can challenge him. Alright, Tokia again. Let's keep berserking. Okay, bishop f5. That's a bit, I think a bit more challenging than the bishop g4 lines. Okay, with an early h5. Then I'll just play h3 and go bishop f4 and maybe knight e5. The drawback of h5 is that g6 is a bit weak, or could become a bit weak. G6 f7. So he has to be careful about that. For example, now already this may be strong. Knight takes d5 also comes to mind. Or just knight at e3. Let's move a bit quicker. Let's just take the knight and put the knight back on e5. And then see how he reacts. Let's take this and be very aggressive. Pawn d7, if bishop takes d7, then bishop takes d5. And then I'm threatening to take here. Probably not making the best moves here, but after the sacrifice it seems like I should be applying more and more pressure, not allowing him to develop or put his pieces on the board. So if rook b8, then pawn b7, and if he allows me to take the rook, then maybe rook at g8. Okay, he allows me to take the rook, but he then has some strong play here. So let's deny it. or just not take it. And go for pawn at c6, and if he takes twice, then I have bishop b5. Back home I have to watch out for pawn at g2 and pawn here. Okay, he decides to take with the rook first. That allowed rook at h5, and now I can take this pawn if I want to. Okay, knight at e5, not allowing him to move back like this, and as well as threatening this one. Can take the bishop here, but I can also try to pressure this pawn. Taking the bishop seems a bit slow, but then again it is attacking the queen, and bishop at b7 will trap the rook, so let's just go for it. Because now bishop at b7 threatens to take the rook. Yeah, knight at g2, I was planning to go like this. And it seems fine. Well, maybe I missed something here. Okay, it's actually a good move. Of course not take, because then there are mating threats for him. Okay, let's take the knight back, get some back rank coverage. Knight at e3. I think I have to go bishop at d7, distract this one, because queen takes g3 was on. Seems like I'm fine here, but maybe there is some move order. Maybe I should have gone to h2. Maybe bishop at e4 now, but not sure. I have to block and take. Knight at e1, okay. I'll just take that. And if rook at d2, then bishop pawn. Pawn here should be fine, or bishop even. Maybe bishop is safer. And I gotta watch my clock, so let's go. Let's move quickly. Putting the bishop, because it's also covering e3, could be useful later on. Okay, let's block with the queen. Keep on dancing here. Yeah, he probably has mate somewhere. But alright, it ain't over yet. Okay, he missed mate in 1 there with queen out of 5. Now he finds it. Okay, well done. Yeah, went indeed knight at g2, knight at e3 was too strong there. Well spotted, Dutchy. Alright, it's Ominous, who recently started streaming as well. So if you're interested, do check out his channel. I just watched him play a couple of games and seemed interesting. Maybe I do make the mistakes against you, but when you're watching the stream, it's easier to point them out. I don't know. Let's take the bishop and then the queen. Maybe this was bad again. Maybe rook at d8 was again good there, but I thought I was able to go like this, takes. Okay, I did now with the pawn gone on f7. This should be fine. With the pawn on f7 there was maybe some rook at d8 stuff. And if you take with the knight then there is queen at g8 mate. But I think I was okay with taking like this and blocking. Because I have my own threats on the white king there. And now, for example, knight at f3 is mate in a few moves if he doesn't respond to it. So he goes bishop at h1. Right, let's make another mating threat then. Knight at e2 now. So he has to respond to that, and maybe I'll go, yeah, rook at e3, I was expecting that. Now I can go bishop at f4, threatening to take here as well as here. He can't take this one, because then knight at e2 is mate again. So he has to do something about this. Okay. Now I'll go in with knight at g4 and make his king move forward. If he moves back, then queen at h2 is mate, so he has to move up. Let's see if there's mate here. Queen f4, king here, pawn here. King back, pawn at g2. Yeah, that should be enough. Pawn at f3, I mean. Because I have 3 pawns left. If he moves like here, pawn at g6 is mate, and if he moves back, I can play pawn g4, and if he moves back then again, pawn at f3 is mate. In a few, king here, pawn at h2. And if he moves like this, then pawn at g5, pawn at g6. So it will be made in 3 moves either way. Alright. Hazar up again. Let's play e4 this time against him. Switch it up. Let's go knight at e3 and d4. And maybe d5 if he allows it. He could go pawn at e4 now. Which seemed reasonable. Okay, now pawn at e4 is not as strong anymore because then knight e5. Could trade and go knight at e5. Yeah, let's go with like that actually. Because now maybe knight takes f7 is useful. Because again, notice the bishop on f8 has not yet developed. So then the king is always a bit awkward on e7, for example. Okay, he wants to take on f3. If I take here, and then take on d1. And then he has a mating threat. Alright, that's actually very reasonable. Maybe knight g5. Knight g5 he can just take. Alright, so let's take the bishop and repeat. Or maybe go bishop at b7 and arrest like that. The thing is that now he has knight at h4, for example, or f4, creating more threats. But I can block at f3, and then this bishop is a bit awkwardly placed. So pawn at f3 is a useful move anyway. Okay, so let's go pawn at f3, and if takes rook g1, or just take. I'll just take. And if bishop d5, then pawn d4. Arrest this bishop because he is weak around the large squares. And now with the pawn in hand, maybe I'll even put a pawn on d7 first. Okay, so he says he's trying to arrest me. He wants to go knight at g2, I guess, and that's fine. I'll allow it and go rook g1. For example, if knight at h3, I'll take, and knight at h4, I have rook g3, and I'm fine. And this bishop is still hanging, and pawn d7 is also still on. So, okay, this is useful. Let's block with the bishop because I want to keep the pawn for d7, and if he castles for h6. But now he's developed this bishop with check, and that f8 square is now open for the king, and that's a good thing. And I didn't want to play c3 because then knight at c2 may have been annoying. And pawn at c3, well, I just explained. Okay, so now after a few moves we still have this f3 pawn hitting the bishop, and black is almost out of resources to to make me not take e4. And in the meantime he has given me some pieces to work with. For example, a knight on h5. This rook is now in the g file, so castling here won't be that attractive anymore. Yeah, let's try to take the rook, and if rook b8, then knight takes c7, hits both pieces, because the rook on e8 will be very strong now. Okay, let's just take the rook, because rook at d8 is a mating threat. If takes, rook at d8, take, king takes, queen at d7, king f8 back, king d8, knight d7. is mate. So he has to defend. Okay, he defends with the bishop, but I can take the bishop with check. And then go rook at d8 anyway. Winning the queen. Let's take this pawn, and if he defends on d7, I'll take again. Trying to remove this defender. Because if with the king on f7, I'd like to put a knight on d8. If king g8, rook at f8, queen at f7. And if the king runs this way, queen at f7 and rook at d8. And if king here, then queen at h8 cuts off. All right. He tried to put up a good defense, but in the end, I think his light squares were a bit too weak there. Alright, Ominous again. Let's play something else this time. Last game we played e4, e5. Okay, this is a common theme, sacrificing the knight for the f6 pawn. You can also take with the e pawn. And basically with black you are saying, okay, I sacrifice the piece, but I will have some development for it in return, as well as a safe king. Okay, and Ominos opting to give the piece back, but still I'm ahead in development. Okay, this is good. Wants to go pawn d7. That's actually very good. I think I have to go queen d7 or queen c8. Let's go queen c8. Went a bit too quickly there with the queen sec. He played it nicely. Let's see. The problem is that rook at g8 will follow afterwards. But alright, we'll have to suck it up and see how he managed to play this. I thought he would go bishop takes g4 and leave the knight defending, because now there is no rook at g8 and there is no bishop at h3, because I can just take that and go knight at f3, bishop at g2, knight h4, and queen at g2 mate. I think bishop takes g4, queen takes g4, then bishop takes g4, and then rook at g8 would have been very strong there, because he then had bishop h6, stuff like that. Okay, bishop at f5. Sort of asking me to go for queen sec here, take, and knight at h3. I think I have to play. Yeah, let's go with that. I think it seems like the only option. I missed that he had a pawn. This is mate. Knight c5. Well done by Ominous. Good game. Whoa, Variance only in the meantime on a break, but he is on 66 points. Very good. Let's see, is he still online? Maybe he'll return soon. And Joanna joining. That's nice. A lot of strong players joining today. Don't know if he'll be... Let's hope. Ah, yes, I missed again an easy move. Ah, that's sad for Joannet. He failed to start the game there. Yes, bishop f4, knight at e2. Surely. Because if knight takes e2, then yeah, good spot there, Dutchy. You're on fire today with the with the tactical spots. Nice. Alright, that's always sad that the player already is offline or losing connection and failing to start the game. Okay, we're almost at the halfway point here. I'm 14 points, 15 points behind, and 21 above the third place, so comfortably in second place. But of course, I'll try to catch variants only. Dum Doodum is up next, playing h6, so the bishop can retreat to h7. Which is a good square. Okay, not sure about this sack. Oh, he wants to go e5, okay. Maybe it's good. Let's go knight at h4, maybe bishop at g6. Try to use these light squares. And if he doesn't move the bishop, then maybe I'll take. Okay, he decides to sacrifice it and go for a knight at h3 later. But knight at h3, I'll just take that and continue with the harassing of the light squares. Because now this bishop goes back to e6 and I have knight at f7, as well as the bishop taking h3 maybe, or defending g4. I think I can take and knight at f7, let's see. Yeah, that's fine. If bishop at h2, I'll just sidestep. And if h2, I can just sidestep as well. And this knight is covering here for now. Rook at g8 is something he has to deal with. Which he does like this. Okay, let's go rook at g8. Maybe I've allowed too much here. I think I can still take this. Bishop at f3 seems necessary. Let's go bishop at f3. And if pawn here, I'll have to take. But this is looking very bleak for me. Rook at h2, for example. I'll have to take this. He should be able to find a victory here. That's a bit careless by me, actually. He can even just take the queen. But there is probably some nice mate here. Bishop at c6. And okay, let's keep on playing. I'm confident that he will just take the, yeah, it will just take the queen. Okay. Bit loss of concentration there. Let's try to focus in again. Not managing to get a streak, as well as some bad games, the last few games. Let's try to keep up the level and not allow easy or miss easy tactics, as Dachi is already pointing out a couple of times. Alright, Kafune. E4, okay, knight f3, d5 then, and d4. Try to grab some space. And now with d3 I'm happy. Okay, that's a free pawn. Let's go knight g6, and now he can of course take here. My bishop is not yet developed, but he doesn't have any pieces to work with, so I can develop it afterwards, and then king f8 is fine. Let's move it to c5. Note that there is no check here. To fork. Okay, maybe knight e5 next. Just playing it safe. Queen here, maybe knight at d5. Okay, he goes there, then knight f5. Just putting the pieces on the board and make this queen not cover that pawn anymore, so I can take it. Now I can even trade queens, maybe. Yeah, let's just trade queens. Ah, I missed that. Whoa. I'm not paying attention at all, that's just a free piece. Alright, let's counter then on e3. Let's place a bishop. I could also go on bishop f4, but then knight at e5 maybe. And now this bishop is covering e5, so there are no tricks there. Okay, let's develop. Maybe g4. As well as bishop takes h2. Okay, let's go g4 first. Queen f2, maybe g3 even. Or pawn at g3. Pawn at g3 I like. This pawn is useful here, I think. Maybe it's better to take on h2 first. But alright, we went this way. Trying to get the rook into play. Feels like it's slipping a bit out of hand here, and that's just loss of concentration with that silly piece loss, and the moves after that also not very convincing. But it's not always good chess and good positions, I guess. Okay, wants to go knight at e5. Let's just move back to g8. Knight at e5 I'll take, maybe. Alright. He's finding strong moves. Okay, now I'll trade. Because if the knight moves, then he'll take on g4, and that's very strong. So I'm trying to find a way to not make him put his queen into the game. And now it's if he takes here, pawn at f2, and maybe some nasty check. I'm missing a pawn though here to mate, so I thought he could have run. I think he should have run, actually. Now he kind of took this one because c5 is checkmate in 1 then. And now queen f2. Alright. He didn't find the best way to continue there, but he was better for sure. Alright, Rick Ostrov. One of the usuals in the Crazyhouse tournaments. Now knight takes d5, e takes pawn d5 is an idea. Or e5 I mean. Which clears up a bit of the pieces around black's king. And I still have a defender left. So that's the point of this sequence. And now I'll remove this bishop here so that maybe I can get in on the light squares with a bishop here, or maybe even bishop at e4. Let's go bishop at e4 and pawn at g6, then pawn at h5. Try to get in. There maybe even is a queen sack idea here. Yeah, let's go with the queen sack. It seems very strong. Now knight h4. If he moves back, then pawn at g6. So yes, he has to move up. But then queen at d5 already wins back material if necessary. Can also keep on checking. Let's see what it does. Now I'll take the rook with check. And rook at e6 is made. He has to block, he can't move, and then pawn at d7. Yeah, I felt like the queen sacrifice there had to be made. Or at least had to be very strong. Happy to beat Rick Ostrov that quickly. He usually is a very tough opponent. Alright, going for a slow setup here with bishop e2. Bishop g5, maybe knight d5 next. Okay, let's go bishop h4. He can go g5 now maybe. But he decides to go knight d4 and trade. And this is a common theme, that you sacrifice a piece here. That you sacrifice the queen here for a few pieces. And normally with the bishop on c4 it's considered to be very bad to take here, because then bishop c4 takes f7. But now the bishop was on e2, so it may be not as good. Okay, let's not care about this bishop here, because if rook b1, just knight at c3, just allowing him to get what he wants. And now I can go in on f7, and if bishop at g6 like he played, then knight at e7 was very strong. Let's see how to do this. Knight d7 should be enough. And queen at f5 to finish. Or if he moves back, queen at e7. Alright. Okay, back on track. Got a few quick games in there. Catching up with variants only, who seems to take a break or has decided to stop after his first loss there. But last 3 games I'm happy with my play there. Alright, Egypt, you know. Coming with an early bishop b5, queen e2 maybe. It's common stuff. Okay, he decides to move back. And I'm not playing knight c6 just yet because that's usually a target for white, but now I'll go for it because the bishop has retreated to e2. Normally white would like to put a knight here and a bishop here and trade and then put a piece back on b7. But now I think he has given me some time to develop, and now it should be fine for me. Okay, this is asking for knight takes f2 and queen h4, and one of the ideas of queen h4 is not only making him use a blocker but also taking d4 with check. And the good thing for me is that he used his pawn here, so that he doesn't have a pawn to block there. Alright, knight d4 or knight b3 is a very useful move. Could go maybe queen trade and knight takes g3. Don't know if I have enough there. Seems very greedy to do that, but let's go for it. I have a lot of pawns, so I plan to follow it up with pawn at h4 or pawn at f4 and make him move back via the dark square, so that pawn g3 will be with check, and then the queen comes in with check as well. So we'll probably take a think here before taking back, or he'll decide against it. I don't actually see the problem for me is that if he doesn't take back, I don't have a direct threat, so he could maybe just go queen at e1 or rook e1, try to get some safety. Yes, he goes queen at g5, same idea, trying to get safe. But this maybe allows pawn here. I can take that, I think. Yes, let's take. Bishop. Let's see. Okay, let's go pawn here. And go knight at e4. Winning the queen at least. And maybe more. And the queen is of course threatening a lot of squares there. Could also take this one. Seems a bit greedy, but I don't think he has anything. Let's just take here. Because pawn at f2 is a huge threat. It's a mating threat actually. Okay, that's good. Pawn at f2 I can't take because the rook is pinned, but now I'll try to get in here. If pawn blocks, then bishop takes. And now pawn at f2 or bishop at f2 anyway is indeed a threat, as well as bishop takes here and bishop at g3 or bishop at f4. So there are a lot of threats around this king. Yeah, duchy indeed, pawn at f2, just take. But I was planning queen h4. And it seems to be very hard to deal with. Maybe knight at f3, but I don't think that's good. Pawn at f2 is just too strong. Or even bishop at f2, even better maybe, to collect the queen there. Okay, that's a reasonable decision, I think. I'll just try to keep moving quickly here. Maybe not pre-move. I have some time left to see what he does, because bishop here is very strong. Bishop takes, queen at g4 is made in a few moves, I think, at least. Let's put a bishop here to make him use a blocker. That's an extra pawn that could be useful maybe. Okay, now I'll put a bishop here. And I think he has to take this. Queen e3, king e3, queen at e2, king up. Well, don't see the mate quite yet, but probably pawn here and pawn here. Cutting off his escape. Okay, happy to take that one. Queen h4, nice find there. Happy with that. Alright, Kafune. Again, bishop c4, and if black has not played e5, then this seems to allow this win of tempo. Because normally you get this position with the queen on d8, so therefore I think it's not that good to play bishop c4 if black can play e6, but alright. Small difference there. Okay, now he's allowed this pin. Okay, I'll take. And I'll take again. Maybe he has bishop at b7, but I have the threat of pawn at h2, which is very strong and has to be dealt with. So he has no time for bishop at h7. Okay, let's play bishop here. He could try knight at g3 and rest my queen. The problem for him is though that if it is a queen now, but if he takes it, it will become a pawn. That's a good thing to realize. A promoted queen, if taken back, it will just result in a normal pawn again. And now rook at g1 is very strong, I think. Yeah, let's just go rook at g1. And knight at f3. And then maybe bishop at c4 and take this pawn. And now maybe take this knight, and then knight at f3 back. And he has to already give up the queen. Maybe rook takes f1 was even more forcing. But this just wins the queen. Yeah, queen takes e5 also possible. Let's cut away the escape and then queen at e2. And if he takes the knight, pawn at c5 probably. Alright, let's go bishop c5. Let's go fancy. Okay. Yeah, Varian's only not continuing the tournament, it seems. So comfortably taking first place now. Rakastrov still playing. Juan had also quit after 2 losses. And again, a nice game. So back on a good streak of 5 games here. After this small series here of a few bad ones. And even the wins there weren't that good. Alright, Joe Sonic again. Okay, he goes for g6. Let's go for e4 then. And develop normally. Bit of a chess-like development here. Not castling because if I castle, I'll take on h3. So let's castle here and maybe go g4. g5. Okay, he's sacrificing. Then I'll go knight g5, trying to get in on h7. Think I'll have to take this one though. If he takes, I'll still have some knight at g7 or another knight at g5, and also pawn at f5 maybe, or pawn at h5, just trying to break up the light square defense he is trying to put up, as well as maybe some rook take h6 ideas later on. Okay, he decides against taking. I think he had to take and try to prove that I'm wrong there. Okay, knight at d5, knight d5 I mean, stepping out of the fork, a future fork, and threatening knight here. Okay, now let's go pawn at f7 and knight at g5, I think. Okay, let's just take the queen now. And rook takes h6 and a queen sacrifice on h7 or a rook sacrifice. This was the easy one. If he took, then take, and this would have been on the board as well. But then he could have taken the knight and then bishop at h4 was made. Alright. Next opponent. Let's go for this bishop g2 stuff again. Let's see what he wants to do. Okay, goes bishop e7, then let's go for the knight h4 line. Bit of an old pet line for me. Yes. Actually, I already saw OK commenting in the tournament chat that it's a lot harder to stream and play. And probably that's true. That it's resulting in sometimes missing a strong continuation, or after a while a loss of focus. But then again, if I lose a couple of games and I manage to get it back on track like I'm doing right now, then I don't mind losing a couple. Okay, was trying to get in on the light squares here. Let's arrest this one. And if he takes here, I'll play bishop at g2 or g4 I mean, and maybe bishop at g5 after. Also looking at e6, and if bishop at h2 or pawn bishop at h2 I can go here, and if pawn at h2 I even can go here. Okay, d5 now. It's this should end quickly, or at least give me a very comfortable position. If he moves back, then it's mate, so he has to move up. Pawn here. Don't see it just yet. Let's just take this one. Threatens mate in 1 here with the knight. As well as an extra pawn with some pawn at pawn at g5, pawn at h4 idea. Okay, if king h1, then that would have allowed this one with check. Probably not the best idea. But he still has to do something about this. Maybe move the g pawn. Yes, okay. Then I'll go pawn at g5 first. Because if he takes, knight at f7. And if he doesn't take, pawn at h6. And if he moves back, then pawn at g7, take the rook. Okay, moves there. Then let's see, queen, trying to get a queen in. Yeah, that should be enough. Queen d3. Take, knight at f7, covers this one. And then pawn at g4. So you could try to move here, then knight at g7, or pawn at g4 as well. So it's made in a couple of moves. And he can't block actually, because I can just take it. Alright, let's end with knight. He can move to f6 as well. Okay. Another quick win there. I'm back on track. That's nice. We are at the 2-hour mark, so 1 hour left almost. And Tiwaz is up next. Let's keep the berserk going. But because who knows, maybe Variance only decides to come back. And so I'll go for this knight g6 line. It's a bit slow, but there's maybe some idea of knight takes d4 and knight takes e5. Okay, bishop e7. Okay, he develops with c3. Now knight takes d4 is no longer an idea. Good castle, maybe. Could also try f5. Yeah, it's the best lighting I got, chess poker player. At least at the moment. Okay, went for f5. That is leaving the king a bit open, but it's also giving me some pawn at e4 maybe. And if he takes here, I'll take back, and this bishop is doing a good job of covering. Yeah, and sometimes 5+0 can be a bit you can drift off too easily maybe. That you and when you berserk, you know you have berserked, so you have to play a very aggressive, or at least a bit up tempo. I see where that's coming from, Daichi. Alright, probably he'll remove a piece. Okay, he wants to keep his knight. Let's put the bishop on e4. Could maybe be useful here, or a pawn at c2 at some moment. Okay, he puts the pawn on f3 to defend. If I take... Alright, let's take and take here. Remove these pawns around my king. Threaten the queen as well. And afterwards maybe I can put some pawns here to defend or attack with pawn at h3, depending on what he does. I was going to go pawn at d3, but then I saw bishop at b5. So let's just castle. Bishop at b5 would have picked up that pawn. Maybe I could have taken though, and bishop at c4. So maybe it wasn't that bad. But alright, I like this as well. Putting some pressure on f3, maybe pawn at e4, pawn at g4 next. Okay, now he has allowed pawn at d3 with knight d2. He's blocked off his queen. He gets a pawn though for h6. But I guess I'll just take it. And go rook f7. Maybe pawn at g7 next. He'll probably try to harass this knight, and then I can go pawn g7 and we'll trade off the piece. And then this rook maybe on the g file. Okay, yes, he does harass it. Could also go knight e5 first. Let's go knight e5. Yeah, he doesn't have any pawns left, and f4 and then knight g4. And if he wants to trade the knight, for example, with knight at d3, I can take that and then put a pawn here. Yeah, seems to be working out fine. Gotta watch my time though. T was taking a good think here. And I think that's a good decision because this probably is a critical moment in the game. Since he has to find a good move, and I will be playing quick moves after this. Okay, it goes knight at e3. Then just stick to the plan. Don't know what knight at e3 does. Maybe it's just covering g2. Or he was intending knight at d3 and he slipped. Could also be possible. Okay, let's try. Let's get in brute force. Knight at h5. That's missed by me. Okay, he does not play it. Bishop at c5. Maybe get in here. Knight at h5 still possible. Okay, let's put a bishop here and go in on f2. The knight has made a very long journey the last few moves, and I've managed to get my rook on pawn here, rook on the open file. So, and now knight b3. So I'm getting a lot of pressure, and he's just traded this knight on e3 via like this for the bishop here. So not ideal for him. And this is looking very very bad for white. King e1 runs into that one, or even knight takes f3. Let's not waste time thinking about a fancy mate, because I'm not there yet. Let's see what's the best way here. I think just taking that rook. Okay, now it's just a messy time trouble. He's got me on the clock. I should not have taken that one, but just here. Alright. Well done by TYS there in the end. Yeah, that's probably what I get for playing a bit too slow there. Had a very convincing position, but was thinking a bit too much about that knight at f3 option. Maybe it was good, but took me too much time. Okay, Andre up again, going for this the lone wolf system maybe, or the wolf, if you'd like to call it like that. It's at least a system popularized by the lone wolf on Lichess. And it's a bit passive, but it's not that easy to break as white. And I find it's if black goes for e5, then it's actually fine maybe for him. But now he goes for some h5 idea. Okay, now I think it's time for me to go for e5, because this bishop is on d7, so the king has no escape square, and f7 is a bit weak because h5 made g6 weak. So maybe I can make use of that. Maybe take this one, take f7, e6 at some stage, take the pawn and pawn at g6. Lots of ideas here. But the main one probably is knight takes f7. Okay, counter-attacking and as well as giving the king some square. But that should not be good, because if he takes, then I'll take this one, and then knight takes e5 is on. Yeah, this is looking very good for white. Even knight at g5 now. And now bishop here, or pawn like this, and knight at f4. And this is very problematic. If he moves back like this, then a bishop on e6. And if he goes here, pawn at f7, knight g6. And if he goes up, pawn at c5, queen d4 brings the queen into the game. Okay, and this is, he can run back, so it's not over yet. I thought this would be very bad for him, but okay, it's not over yet. But still, he has no attack, and it's looking very good for me. I think he has to take, or he has to go like this, and I'll take. And pawn at b7, looking strong. Yes, nothing here at the back. And sorry about that, but taking the rook next, and then I only need another pawn, which is available here or here, or yeah, and even take here and rook at c8, force the queen trade with the threat on b7 still. Yeah, I gotta watch out for e2, sure. Maybe bishop at a6 is the way to go here to cover this one. Then probably take here. And then pawn b7 is very hard to deal with as well. So it's probably over already. Andre is trying to find something, which is of course what he must do. There may be some hidden resource here which I'm missing. Let's see. What does this do? Okay, I'll just take it. Bishop at c5 may be his plan, but just pawn here. Yeah, and now I'll have enough material. Yeah, interior signs. Okay. 85 points. And the rest of the top 3 is not playing anymore. Okay, is coming for me with only 1 loss. That's a very good performance for him, or for anyone actually. So far, a very strong tournament. Yeah, and there actually in the last game, I thought it was easier, but he could run to a6, but then his position was still a mess. So there wasn't a forced mate in the sense of a forced sequence of checks, but the pawn on b7 was just so powerful there that it was too hard to find a defense for Andre. Okay, going for b4. What's that about? Bishop b6. I'd like to keep my bishop on this diagonal and not allow any knight takes d4. Okay, now with knight a4, maybe I'll just sacrifice and go b5. Since he has played h3, then pawn at g3 is also an option. Nice comment there, Dutchy. Okay, let's take this. And I was thinking about knight bishop here and then take this. But now maybe this is also a nice option. As well as maybe bishop at f2. Okay, let's go with the original idea. The thing is that he cannot take this one because the knight at e2 forks. So this pawn is tactically covered. And one of my next moves is probably knight takes e4 with a pawn here and then a rook there and a knight here. Okay, let's go for that. For example, now if bishop takes, then we see the sequence of pawn at h2, king h1, rook at g1, rook takes g1, knight at f2, queen takes f2, knight takes f2 mate. So he probably has to take the knight, then pawn at h2 as well. Okay, he does not. Then I could have taken the bishop before, for example. Okay, he has to take, and then knight at f2, take. I'm down a lot of material, but checkmate comes before material. Okay. Alright, okay, up next. Let's see what he has in store for me. It's been a while I played okay. Going for an early bishop b4. Let's go on bishop g5. Sort of a pin back. Now you can take and then knight at e4. But if he takes, I'll take on f6 first and then take back. Because I like his queen being here. And if he takes with the pawn, then knight at g7 may be annoying. And now maybe bishop here or bishop at g5. Okay, let's go bishop at e5 first. See if he wants to make the trade. And then I'll take back, and then if he takes back, knight at g5, and he has a shattered structure. He may be thinking about some pawn at h3 or bishop at h3. That could be an idea. Okay, now the trade is even worse because after this, queen at e7 is a mating threat. So he correctly removes the queen. And now I'll try to get in here. He has to cover that in some way with the rook g8 or bishop with a bishop placement. Could also decide to let it be. But I don't think he could get away with that. Yeah, okay, he decides against it. Now let's go h3, and if he takes this one, I have knight at f6. Okay, also spotted by him. Could go knight at f6, could also go pawn at f6. Let's go with the pawn. And if he takes twice, then I only have knights in hand. Then probably knight d4, try to trade a bishop, or knight at d4. Okay, he moves back, that's sensible. Maybe I should cover c3 now. It's looking a bit slow though to cover that pawn. Could also go knight at e7, that's a bit strange, but it does attack some pieces. Yeah, let's go knight at e7 and let's see what he wants to do. One of the things I'm thinking about here is, well, of course, first taking the rook, but if he wants to sacrifice the rook like this, I could also take here and opening up the queen. So that's one of the ideas, and another one is that if he moves the rook here, then the pawn here will be very strong. And this knight is just very annoying in general. So that's a bit of a hassle for OK to find out what he wants to do with that. And if, for example, rook h8, maybe I can even play the quiet move like this, defending the pawn. Or go rook b1 and try to get my own pawn for pawn g7. So a lot of stuff to figure out for OK. Yeah, okay, he decides to step out of the pin there, which I think is good. But now I think I'll go rook b1, go crazy. And sacrifice. there's no good move to cover this rook except king d1 or king d7, sorry. And after king d7, I'll probably just take this knight. Seems very strong. Knight at d7, knight at c5, I mean, forces the king back. If he does not do anything about that. As well as rook takes d5, takes, pawn at c6, back, take the rook, and if up, knight at g5, checkmate. And notice that this is still very safe. Okay, goes bishop at c6, covering at least the d5 square, but probably now noticing that this will come in very strong. He blocks, I'll take the blocker, and I'll have a rook to mate. Okay, knight at e7, a very instructive move, I hope. Dislodging black's position. Not a concrete threat, because I didn't have a pawn yet to follow up on g7, but it was very strong. Alright, this guy again, let's go e5. And bishop c5, let's see if he wants to take this. Okay, he doesn't. Knight c6, I think. To bishop e3, I'll trade a few times. Okay, this is also very common when you have a pawn and there's a knight covering, you can put a pawn. And notice that f8 is free, so that instinctively I'm okay with this sacrifice. There's no knight here, he can trade this one, I'll take back. And there may be some issues, but I guess I'm fine there. Let's take this one. And let's go knight at h4. Maybe a bishop on this diagonal is a bit annoying, but okay. Let's take this pawn, I don't want any pawns here. Pawn at h6 in combination with this diagonal was a bit annoying, so therefore I took this pawn on b2. Next up, maybe pawn at e2. Maybe a bishop first on b4 to harass some. Or pawn at a3 seems interesting as well. Okay, let's go pawn at a3. The idea is to make him take and then go bishop at c3. Checking as well as taking the rook, and then next up maybe take here. Don't know about that one yet though. Let's see if I take. It's not working just yet. Okay, let's go rook e8 then. And if I check now, I can block with d5, because then there's this pin. Alright, let's sacrifice a knight for a rook on the back rank. Have to watch out for knight at g5 though, so bishop here is not possible just yet. Let's just defend against that with the simple pawn at h6. But now bishop at h3 is a bit of a threat. He can play knight at g3. He can also play this, threatening rook takes g7 mate. Gotta deal with that, of course. He's playing this very actively, and I've not found the best moves. Maybe this was a bit too much, I think. Wasn't necessary to take on g2. let's see. Let's take here. Let's keep this option open. And if he takes, I can even take here maybe. Or just knight at f3 immediately. And then take with the knight. Knight at d6 is possible for him. But I can just sidestep. And now there's this huge threat of pawn here. And pawn at e2. Okay, defense. Let's harass this one and maybe follow up with pawn at g2. There might be some rook takes g6 coming. Let's pre-move that. Okay, not yet. Let's pre-move the queen. Actually, yeah. There we go. Now queen at f1, or queen at e1 I mean. Queen at d1, very strong. Okay, defense. Let's watch the time. The sacrifice is fine because knight at h5 I can just go back, and then he has to play rook at g7 and then I'm safe there. Okay, now I have him. His escape is blocked off and knight takes d3 is made. Alright, almost got carried away there again on the clock, but managed to escape in time now. $98 points, okay, back on a good streak. Variance only, probably not returning. So the tournament victory seems safe now. So let's get a good half hour, last half hour in with some good games. Let's go e6, d6, and knight f6. It's a bit of an crazy line, it seems. You're sacrificing a pawn, but you're trying to get in quick development. And I was going to say the knight d4, but he went for it anyway. Which could be possible maybe after something like this. Okay, he goes for a different line. It's very active actually from A0 here. Let's take the knight and block on d5. And if he takes this knight, I'll take back with the pawn. If pawn here, he'll probably take, so let's not do that. Actually, let's go knight at b2. Harass the queen, take the bishop. I want the bishop on the dark squares here. Maybe bishop at d6. Some sense of safety, as well as maybe taking and go bishop a6. Okay, now maybe pawn at e4 is justified. I think it is, because it's forking these two pieces. If bishop takes, I'll take. Knight at g7, I can run to d7 or e7. Okay, he's maybe saying that he can take here. If I take here, that he'll take the queen. Seems reasonable. Bishop here, king f1. Seems safe for him. So let's just take back. Queen still attacked. Bishop at d2 maybe. Okay, now I'm getting some free development or a free queen. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you should have gone bishop at d2 with even intermezzo for some bishop at f4 stuff. Let's go bishop a6, preventing the castle as well as threatening mate. Okay, defended. Rook g8 then. Knight at f5 does not do much. I can just take and go back. Let's see, queen b6 seems like a useful move. Harassing this one as well as getting some queen takes f2 ideas into position. Let's see. Yes, this is good enough. If he takes back, queen takes f2 is mate. Queen takes f2. If he does not take back, queen at e2 of course, and if he takes, knight at g4. Queen on f2, knight here, queen takes c2. And the knight is covering then. And then notice the bishop is guarding the g3 square. And he's probably realizing now. Maybe he'll even say, uh-oh, I missed that one. Okay, let's go with the knight. Okay. Let's see. Who will challenge me? In the meantime, I can check if there are some new matches coming up in the 1-0 CWC. Doesn't seem like it just yet. Don't fear, Dutchie. Oh, sorry about this, guys. Something went wrong. Hit the wrong button there. But yeah, it's fine now, I guess. Okay, Kafune sacrificing a piece there. Knight e7 probably not to his liking. Okay, let's take with the knight. Could also have taken with the queen, bit more forcing, but I think this should be fine as well. So if he doesn't take back, I'll just move back. And we could have gotten the same position without the queen on d1 and on c8. And now I'll even move back, because if he takes bishop at d7, forces the same line. I would have been safe on f8 as well, I guess. Okay, knight e4. Go for some queen takes f7. Make him move to this square and then queen takes f7, cut off the retreat, and then maybe g4, bishop e2. That's what I'm thinking about. And if king f5, also this move. If king takes here, queen f3 is made. So he has to block then, and then again the retreat is cut off. So maybe knight g3 then. Kafuna seems to be out of the game as well. So maybe he lost connection or he rage quit. And let's hope it's it's the first one, because I think it's in general a bit pathetic to leave the clock like this and just say, okay, I've lost, but I don't have it in me to resign. But okay. I guess it happens. But usually Lichess gives you some, yeah, like this, gives you some claim for victory. Okay. Sometimes it takes takes a minute or something like that. Were you playing in this tournament, Sleipnir? And or did I miss playing you? Or were you playing on a different? Okay. You were referring to some games in the past then. Alright, Toribio. Bishop c4, normal stuff, d3, castles probably. I said before, this is one of the most played lines in Crazyhouse actually. I think this allows and bishop takes here and knight g5. And some queen takes g4 idea. Problem is if for example, if here, then I'll take and bishop at h5, wins back the piece with a good position for white. And if to f8, then knight e6 wins the queen, and there is no immediate mate for black there. So he's probably figuring it out right now. Okay, he went for this one. I have to go for this because otherwise the sack would have been pointless. Okay, let's take the queen. Knight takes f2 is probably the best response. But okay, he goes for this. I figured knight takes f2 was the most critical way to go there, but I guess this is possible as well. Threatening to take here as well as queen at d7. Knight at h3 I'll just take, or knight f3 I'll take. Knight at f3 I can even sidestep. Ah no, I can't sidestep. I have to take. Now I'll take the knight and go knight at f7. And now there are no pieces left around my king, so this should be totally fine. Could also take the rook actually. No, let's take this. Go knight d5 maybe. How to do this? Put a pawn on f7. So no concrete way of winning in one move. Maybe bishop at h4 was also fine, but this creates the huge threat of queen here. And to cover that he has to take this one. You're pointing out exactly why e4, e5 is played so much, because it is indeed very complex to play. But if you know what you're doing with black, you can maybe outplay white in the opening. And once you have outplayed white in the opening with this e4, e5, you have a very good chance of winning. And that's, in my opinion, more often the case in e4, e5 lines than in e4, e6 lines or e4, knight f6, where there's just where white can make a mistake and get away with it more easily than e4, e5. So indeed you have to know a lot, and if you don't know your stuff with black, you will probably get a lot of losses in. But for example, like Dachi is stating that Jan Lee playing some h6 g5 line, which according to the computer is not that good, but you have to know a lot of stuff with white to be able to refute that. And if you don't know that, then you will lose probably. And if you're playing Jan Lee, you will most definitely lose then. So therefore I think it's played that much, because it's just so dynamic. Alright, queen takes h4. Okay, picking up the gauntlet. Knight at f4, don't know about that one. I kind of want to go take a knight at h5. Let's just do that. Bishop at h6 probably. Yes. And what are his threats? Bishop g6 maybe. Okay, let's go d5. Try to open up the position. So I hope that explains it a bit, Sleipnir. And yes, if you don't like to study some lines or be in very sharp positions, which seems to be the case in any Crazyhouse game, but in e4, e5 even more, then I would recommend not to play e4, e5 indeed. And try something else. I myself find the e6, d5 stuff lines very also fine to play. But even in those lines, there's a lot of tricks you have to deal with and stuff like that. But at least it's a bit less well known. Alright, let's see how to deal with OK here. I think pawn g5 seems nice. Dislodge these two bishops. Threatening to take both. And if he takes g5, g7 will become loose. He could try to arrest the queen, but then I can just move the queen. Doesn't matter. And then he has used this pawn, and then this threat still stands. He could also maybe try to arrest this knight, but as I said before, knight takes f4 is just on. So pawn g5 is a hard move to deal with. Okay, bishop e6. c6 may have been an option as well, but then knight at c7, maybe. Don't know yet. Alright, let's see. Let's just go back. Yeah, that's a sensible idea to play knight f6 and e5, then maybe knight e4, bishop f5. Yeah, that's an okay system. And of course d4 as white is is fine with me. It's not the most challenging according to the theoreticians, but it has some nice resources. As you probably will know yourself while playing it, and as well as watching my streams, I play a lot of d4 and some common tricks there have been shown already. Yeah, you get more of a game after like 10 moves. It could still be very even. And it's easy to play in fast time control. Okay, rook g8. If I take, he'll take back. Knight at f6 then. Okay, let's just take this one. Probably not counting on knight at f6. Okay, bishop at e7 first. No, let's just take. Was thinking about bishop at e7 first, but I don't know. That could be that OK was high rated. I think before in this tournament he was like the first time I played him he was like 2150. But yeah, this explains it. He has a string of 6 losses. And losing against a rating like me, that's okay for his rating, but maybe he had some bigger upsets there. Alright, let's go knight f6. Let's see if he wants to take the knight. Yes, he does. Okay. And this is a bit more preferred than with the bishop on g4 for him, so he could argue that this is okay. Okay, bishop has moved. Now time for rook on the g file. Always annoying. Okay, let's take. He can take this one. I think I'll have to allow that. Let's just go knight at e4. Maybe I'll take back, and then queen d5. Yeah. If you play a lot like OK does, then you are prone to get some rating swings. So I think it's safe to say that he's around 2150 level. But sometimes you're below that and sometimes you're above that. Just like me, usually people think I'm around 2450 till 2550. Okay, you should have taken on c6 first. I've forgotten about my own rule. Develop the bishop on f8. Okay, let's try to get out of this mess. Make him use a blocker or retreat the bishop, so this e8 becomes available as a retreating square. Now I can even take on f2. If he takes back, knight here is very strong. Knight takes c3 maybe. Bishop h6. Let's go bishop a6 first. h6 I mean. Maybe I take here. Okay, he wants to get frisky. Okay, let's take. g4 or pawn at f4 next. Okay, pawn at f4. Picking up the queen with check. Or forking the queen. Rather not picking it up with check probably. If he moves up, c5 is mate. So he has to move back. And then knight takes c3. Is it safe to take? Let's see. Yes. This I can just take back. Ah, yeah, that's very. And well, you shouldn't. You are also a pretty decent player yourself, Sleipnir. But sometimes you've just opponents where you do very well against. And that's actually the same for me. For example, I seem to do very reasonably okay against a player like Rapid Variance, but on the other hand, I'm for example 4-0 down against Variance only. So that's just a clash of styles sometimes, which seem to be turning out okay for someone. And it's also very much about the time control. So to get a really good idea about how you stand against someone that's hard, because you have to make a distinction in time control, in form, in play. Sometimes player gets very good after a few moments. A few months. For example, my record against retarded platypus is very good, but recently it's probably way more even than the record shows. He was trying to fork me here. I'll allow that. Try to counterattack. If g5, then knight f6. Okay, that's very brave. It might work. I think I can take d5 though. I'm forking here as well as here. Bishop c6. It's looking tough. Pawn at g6 even. Let's go pawn at g6. Threatening bishop takes f7. And notice again the bishop on f8 is not developed. That's a bit the theme of today. The bishop on f8 or f1. Do I have a forced win here? Maybe, but this seems fine as well. Maybe he can run towards here, something like that, but I'm winning a lot of pieces. And it seems like even this is mate as well. Let's mate with the bishop. Alright, probably the last game. Oh, the next game will be the last game. Whoa, very strong performance by this guy in the last hour. Well, I managed to win all his games. Let's see if it's an established player, it seems. Okay. Oh, it's already saying the tournament's pairings are closed. Alright, that gives me some time to thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central European Summertime, Jan Lee versus Variance Only, this guy here, will be playing their 1-0 Crazyhouse World Championship match. Lol, Dutchie. I won't be able to stream that one, but I expect Jan Lee to stream himself, and maybe some other guy will give some commentary there. It's also I think common these last few games in the 1-0 Crazyhouse World Championship that the Discord channel is open for comments. So if you would like to get in on that action, please do. I will probably will see you again for the Elite Crazyhouse Arena on Saturday. I'm a bit busy the next couple of days, so probably won't be streaming that much. But Saturday probably I will be there again. So for now, thanks very much for watching, and I will hope to see you guys again very soon. Goodbye.